Well, good afternoon. I like the enthusiasm. Do it again. All right. Well, in my mind, this is just a continuation of last year. What was last year all about? Okay. Last year at this event, yes, it was mostly about the money. The whole year was about celebrating 125 years. And so here we are, in a sense, wrapping up what last year was. And what you're going to see in a little bit is, by all accounts, it was a great year. So, kind of excited. The group's excited to present today. For those who don't know me, my name's Greg Flint. I'm part of the leadership team. And so I get the honor of kicking us off. So with that, we're going to jump in. And so, more than anything, as you walk out, we say celebration, but the real purpose is to thank you. We say it, we don't say it enough. There we go. Thank you. Thank you for everything that you do. You know, and so what we're going to do today is we're going to walk through the financial results. We're going to try to share and reinforce some of what we talked about last year. And so what that leads to is a thought. So a couple weeks ago, I'm listening to the Sunday sermon. And as I'm listening to it, the priest was basically talking about we have a tendency to make stuff more complex than it needs to be. And he said it really doesn't have to be that way. And he said, so he believes in this concept of see a need, fill a need. And he went on to explain, see a need is, if you see something that should be done, just go do it. Fill that need. See the need, fill the need. And he said it's something as simple as, if the toilet paper is out in the bathroom, replace the toilet paper. How about a Yahoo? Okay. All right, I got an amen as well. And then he went on from there to talk about, how about if you have an employer, and I'll back up, he called it parishioner. How about if you have a fellow parishioner who's struggling? Well, it's the same thing for us. If we have someone within our midst that's struggling, help them out with whatever it might be. So the point being is, we're going to go through a bunch of stuff today. We're going to go through a bunch of financial information today. At the end of the day, we appreciate what you're doing, and we don't need to make this too complicated. If we just keep working together like a team, if we see the need and we fill the need, we're going to continue to have good years. So with that, I'm going to hand off to Jeff, wherever Jeff is, if he could start us off with a quick prayer.
I'm here.
All right.
I'm Jeff Lawson. I'm the chaplain. Hey, everybody. So, I think I made a major mistake, though, because with my thing I was going to do, if you haven't been to my office, it's kind of a pit at times. And it needs to be brightened up, so I thought the best way to do this was to plant some sunflowers in my office. But it's kind of hard to plant sunflowers without some dirt. You got some dirt? I need dirt. Thank you, Gary. I need dirt. Oh, there you go. Thank goodness, we got dirt. In case you were worried, we got dirt. But now I got dirt, I need a pot. Anybody bring a pot? No, wait a minute. I know the new law that went through. I didn't see anyone got any pot. Adam's got a pot. Thank you, Adam. Appreciate that, Adam. And now all I would need with my dirt and my sunflowers and my pot is a little bit of water for it. Anybody got any water?
Yes, I got water for you.
Mike's got some water. Thank you, Mike. See a need, fill a need. I had a need for dirt. I had a need for a pot. I had a need for water. You see a need and you fill a need. Pretty basic concept. Reminds me of the Old Testament passage. You know, the Israelites, as they were moving in and taking over territory, they were in this one war after another war after another war. And they were in a war with a group of people called the Amalekites. Say that with me. Amalekites. They're fighting with the Amalekites, okay? And here's the deal. As long as Moses' arms were in the air, the Israelites were winning. But after a while, his arms got tired and they started to droop. The Israelites started losing. What are they going to do? So two people, Moses' brother Aaron and another guy named Hur, came alongside and they held Moses' arms up. They saw a need and they filled a need, and because of that, the Israelites were able to beat the Amalekites. So my question I have for you today before I pray is, whose arms can you hold up? Who is it that you can come alongside and hold their arms up? Whether that would be just through a phone call, even a smile. People need other people to help them at times when their arms are tired. Let's pray. Jesus, thank you for Cold Spring. We thank you for 125 plus years of tremendous things that have happened. It's such an exciting day. Lots of cool things are happening. And we just pray, God, as this excitement surrounds us, that we were able to take this with us and able to go forward and do great things for you, in and through you. Lord, we thank you for the example of seeing a need and filling a need, and pray that you'd give us the gumption to step up and fill those needs as we see them fit. We pray this in Jesus' name. And everybody said, Amen. Thanks, Greg.
Thank you, Jeff. So 2 years ago, we shared what we're doing around succession planning. We shared that there's going to be some changes with the leadership team. And along those lines, we had pictures. And it was interesting, some of the feedback. Some of the feedback was, wow, how are we going to get through, people like Danny retiring or people like George retiring? Well, the good news is we're getting through it. I'd be lying if I said I don't miss them. At the same time, I'm excited. I'm excited for the opportunity because there's a group who's going to help us to continue to thrive and succeed into the future. Now, from that standpoint, there's one more person that's not on here that was last year. It's Johnny Phillips. Johnny is retiring in, how many days, Johnny? 21 days. So as we talk succession planning, come on up, Johnny.
Thank you.
So as we talk succession planning, Johnny actually asked if he could talk to this. And so with that, I'm going to hand it off. Final thought. So what's going to happen is the other thing we're hearing is you don't feel like you know who this group is. It's going to make it a little bit harder because each person is getting a smaller piece, but each one of the leadership team members are going to come up and try to introduce themselves while they cover a topic. So with that, I'll hand off to Johnny.
Greg, I'll take that. Yep. Thank you again. My name's Johnny Phillips. I'm part of the sales team and formerly part of the leadership team. I've got about 21 days to go, and I've got about 3-4 thank yous. This has been a tremendous ride for me, and just so thankful to all of you. In my travels, I talk with our sales teams and I meet with our customers, and I can tell you firsthand, we try to get customers to Cold Spring and to Texas and to Raymond and to our quarries because we know the impact it is. But what I hear over and over again, quite honestly, is, yeah, we have great facilities, equipment. We got unbelievable products and services, quality, workmanship, phenomenal, right? But I'm going to tell you the number one thing that people talk about when they come here is you. It's our people. So thank you. Thank you very much. I'm going to talk about the leadership team in a little bit here. I've got a couple more thank yous. As Greg mentioned, today is a celebration, and it's all about thank yous, sincere thank yous. Does anyone see a little problem with this screen on the leadership team? Does anyone notice anything, or is it just me?
Color's off.
The color's off. Thank you, Fletcher. Anything else? What's that? There's only one woman. Great point. Go, Aaron. Thank you for bringing up Aaron. I'll be quick here, I promise. Erin has the ability to connect with our memorial customers so much better. She's a licensed funeral director, a cemeterian, a former customer. I'm going to tell you, people just absolutely appreciate Erin and what she can do and how she can communicate and work with our customers. So here's to Erin. Thank you, Erin. So what I was actually driving at about what's wrong with this screen, these pictures are really old. I'm not going to take shots at anybody here. I'm not going to call anybody out. Although Josh and Jerry, these are like high school photos. I mean, come on. They don't look like that anymore, right? I'll get back to the leadership team in a bit here. I have a couple of thoughts I want to share and some perspectives of my travels and time with Coldspring that I think can really speak to the leadership team. But first, another thank you. And this one I'm going to ask folks to stand up for, if I could. This one, if you could, please stand. We work for a company that, again, has great products and great services. We do so much. This thank you is for our ownership. The Alexander family, what they do for the community, for this company, the investments they make in all of us. To Pat and Bunny, Mike and Holly, we are so appreciative of you and all you do for all of us. The mentality of when the company does better, we share it with the employees. It was about 10, 12 years ago, a similar event, not near as nice as this, when I remember we got to just north of $1,000 in ROA. That was 10, 12 years ago. Last couple of years, we've been well over 4,000. It's just been an amazing ride. And so, again, thanks to Pat and Bunny and Mike and Holly. Thank you. Thank you. You can sit down again. I should have taken a picture of a standing ovation here, right? One more thank you, and this is to the leadership team. I will tell you, in my travels, there is a ton of companies that would love to trade places with us. Not every company is doing as good as we are. I'll guarantee it. I see it out there. The other thing I can tell you for sure is in business cycles, there's going to be curveballs thrown at us, right? There is absolutely going to be problems. There's going to be times like in the past, huge inflation, which can eat our margins. There's recession, there's supply issues. There's probably extreme government regulation. I probably got to be careful if I go too far on that one, but I'm just going to tell you there's lots of stuff coming at us all the time. My experience with this leadership team, they look at data, they plan ahead, they balance the needs of our customers and our employees. They look short-term, they look long-term. In a few minutes after an awesome video, Brent is going to speak to the mission, vision, and values and some of the strategy that this team has developed over the next 5 years, which is absolutely phenomenal. So really appreciate being part of the leadership team, and great job. Thank you. I mentioned a video real quick, thanks to Devin Gherkin. I know she was the lead on developing and getting all the stuff in. So much to be proud of. This is a 2-minute video that literally could go for an hour on all the things that has gone really well for Coldspring and all the accomplishments. And so we'll play that in a little bit, and then we'll get to Brent in a minute here. Okay? Thank you.
Wow. So that was an amazing video that we're going to watch again. No. So it's an amazing video, and it highlighted just some of the accomplishments from last year. So just great work, everybody, and thank you so much for your efforts on the year that just passed. We also celebrated our 125th anniversary, which was just a really exciting time. A number of you played really key roles in planning for that event and making it as exciting as it was and as successful as it was. And as we'll learn shortly, it was an awesome year financially. But first, I'm not going to try to back up to my slide. So I'm Brent Kuzman. I'm Vice President of Marketing here at Coldspring, and I'm going to go over the foundation. And so last year, a big part of this event is that we updated our foundation. It was our mission, our visions, and we reiterated our values. So, who was all here last year? Okay. So there was a big part of last year's presentation, and then at each of our quarterly updates, we reiterated it. So it's going to be a little bit of a pop quiz today. So are you ready? All right. Turn to your neighbor and recite what our mission statement is. Just do your best. What do you remember? It's hanging up all over the place. Quarries, it's hanging up out there too. There's a lot of laughing. All right, let's see how we did. So our mission statement is our why. And we updated it that last year to be good stewards of all God has entrusted to us while providing for the generational well-being of the people and communities we serve. And so it's our why. And the idea behind the mission statement is that it can endure, it can last throughout all the changes that may come throughout the business. No matter what your role is in the company, you can tie it back to the why. And it's all about we bring our own time, we bring our talents, and then we have the resources that were provided here at Coldspring. So at the end of the day, we want to provide that generational well-being. It's for each other, for our vendor partners, and for our communities, that we can all be successful. So that's our why. All right, let's do the same thing on the vision statement. Or if anybody wants to get up here and recite it, anybody know the vision statement? We'll jump right into it. It's to be the industry leader in stone and bronze by creating deeper connections with our customers to optimize our resources. So we started with our why. We know why we're here every day, but the vision starts telling us where we're going. And the idea behind it is we want to create, we're kind of stating that we're moving in a direction where we want to create a deeper connection with our customers. That's what's going to make us different. We want to get deeper into their businesses, further integrated with them, and we want to align all of our resources to really optimize to deliver on their needs. So then our values. This is how we behave. This one didn't change. So let's do this one together. What's the H? Honesty and integrity. O, organized and purposeful. N, nimble and innovative. O again, open and transparent. And then finally, respect and trust. So those three components make up our foundation. It's really kind of sets the stage for everything that we do. Start with our why, go into where we're going, kind of the path that we're moving into, and then how we'll behave in getting there. So then finally, this is kind of a secondary piece of the foundation, but it's that more near-term look into, so what are we going to do to move toward that vision? And we laid that out as our strategy. This one I won't throw at you to recite. It's a little bit longer, more complex. But we said we want to achieve a sustained 30% ROA by 2027 through leveraging information and our experience to implement versatile value streams that optimize our resources, providing natural stone and bronze products to North American building and memorial markets. So that one gets really specific because we set a timeline out there, 2027. We set a really specific financial goal, 30% ROA. And then we just reiterate the businesses we're going to be in. We're going to be focused on North America. We got our core businesses that we're going to continue to stay focused on. And then kind of tying back to the vision side of things, the way we're going to accomplish that is by really optimizing all of the resources. So that's all of us as the people here, our plants and our quarries, and we're going to better align with our customers to achieve that. So next up is going to be Mark Stafford. He's going to start updating us on how we're doing toward that strategy.
All right, thank you, Brent. I've come bearing gifts today, since we're talking about ROA. I'm Mark Stafford, Vice President of Administrative Services, and you've heard a lot about how great 2023 was. We saw the video with many accomplishments, just a few of everything that everyone has put their efforts into in the last year. We transitioned the leadership team. It was our 125th anniversary. So many accomplishments to be proud of together for 2023. Before we get into the ROA plan or the specifics, want to talk about how we get to those numbers. So we start with net income of $27 million for the year 2023, a record for us. ROA, 15%. 15% of that $27 million is $4.1 million. Very unique as a company. The Alexander family, we've talked about sharing 15% of our income among all of us. Tax rate, related to what's pulled back for Social Security for everyone, leaves $3.7 million to be shared as the pool. And the last year we had 738 employees. Now, how does that compare before we unveil 2023? So in 21 and 22, we had income, the third line down, each year about $24 million. And I mentioned 27 for 2023. So minus assets, or compared to assets, you can see we went up from 95 to 110. When a company is doing great, it's time to invest. And we've continued to invest in our equipment and our facilities as we're doing well to help us grow for the next 125 years. ROA, so hitting that 15%. Last couple years, that pool was $3.6 million to share. That 8% or so, again, Social Security tax, leaving about 3.3 in both 21 and 22. Now, a big difference in the employee count. So not that we hired 50-some added employees. We did hire some, but we had a lot more turnover during the COVID period of employees in 2021. So to qualify, needed to be full-time with certain amount of hours for the year. So bottom line, a lot of records that we've hit as an organization the last few years. So $4,800 payout per employee in 21 and $4,500 in 2022. So when you think about how can we continue to go up? You know, it's a 15%, but it's 15% of our income as an organization. As we have 800 and some engaged employees working together as one team, we can really do anything. And as the income number rises, 15% of that continues to rise. Now, 2023, that $27 million, 15% is a pool of that $4.1 million that we saw in the last slide. After pulling out for Social Security, $3.7 million that we're dividing by employees. Almost equal number at 738 employees. So before I show, or we do a countdown for what that number equals today, we hear that maybe we've let the cat out of the bag on what our ROA is for 2023. So just a quick show of hands, how many have not heard what the ROA number is that we're providing? Okay, so looks like about half. So, little story. Back when my two sons were fairly young, had the Christmas gifts under the tree. And they tended to be curious, might pull back some of the wrapping, might pull out some of the tissue. Well, usually I could tell when that happened. So to play a little bit of a trick on them, I'd pull out what the gift was, and maybe put a couple of apples in the bag. They couldn't tell me that they knew what was really in there. So then I'd come back, and here's the gift. But a little bit of fun. So we're not going to pass out apples, to the half of you that know what number is coming up on the screen, but we're going to do a countdown together. As we do the countdown, we've got 4 sections. So let's see who can be the loudest of the group. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, so congratulations to everyone, whether you knew the number this morning or you're learning it right now, just short of $5,100. So as Johnny mentioned, in the past, those of you who've been with us 7, 8 years, were with us when $1,000 was a great accomplishment. The last few years, we continue to hit records as a company, and it's been $4,000, $4,500, $4,800. Another record for 2023, over $5,000. We could not do that with all of your efforts as an engaged team working together to support our customers. So thank you very much for all of that. All right, and I'll hand it off to Josh. Thank you.
Well, congratulations, everybody. This is exciting. And by the way, if we're giving out Spirit Awards, these 2 right down here have got it. So obviously that was probably the most exciting part of the presentation, but there's a couple more things that we should be excited about. And believe it or not, they have to do with the financial results so far this year. By the way, I'm Josh Wright, I work with the operations group. 2 things, if you've participated in this event for long enough, you know that it wasn't that long ago we talked about the foundry being very profitable and that our stone business was not. And so what's exciting is that that's no longer the case anymore. While our foundry is still very profitable, we finally reached the point where our granite business is now reaching profit levels for the goals that we've set. So that's exciting for everybody. Absolutely. So we'll jump into the financials here real quickly. We'll cover this relatively fast compared to the way we normally do. The second exciting part is that not only did we have a great year last year, we're off to a phenomenal start again this year. So you'll see 2 columns up here. One is how we did last year through February, and how we're doing so far this year through February. You can see top line, our revenue's up $2 million. So we're off to a great start from a volume standpoint. Our cost of goods sold is up a little bit. We'd expect that with higher revenue. And as a percent, our gross profit is up half a point. So we're doing pretty well from a managing cost standpoint so far this year too. Down below on the SG&A side are the sales and general admin. You can see those numbers are relatively flat versus last year, as well as the interest and other expense. And so our pre-tax income or our pre-tax opportunity so far through February is up about $700,000 over where we were last year in February. So again, off to a much better start. And remember, we had a great year in 2023. Take the taxes out of it, and we're sitting about $500,000 ahead of last year. So if we take those numbers from the last slide, bring them up to the top, the other half of the ROA calculation is how many assets do we have. Here we can see if you jump down to the second to the bottom line, you can see our assets are actually up about $5 million over last year. Running through what that's made up of, accounts receivable or money that we've produced revenue for, but our customer hasn't paid us. You can see that number's up a little bit, but when we calculate how many days worth of sales that is, the next line, DSO, we're actually in a better spot because our revenue's higher, the DSO is actually lower so far this year. Inventory, this is one that we've struggled with the last few years. Our inventory has been pretty high, mostly due to blocks and slabs. And you can see for the first time in a long time, we're starting to make progress in pulling that down. So that's a good thing. Probably the other biggest move here is PP&E or property, plant, and equipment. Heard somebody talk about how we're we're investing a lot in the business, so a lot of this is planned. We expect this to go up, and it's really because we are spending more money than we normally would replacing equipment and advancing our operations. So when you add that all up, again, we're sitting at about $5 million above where we were last year at this time. If you annualize the ROA where we are at this point versus where we were last year at this time, we're sitting a couple points ahead. So again, something to be excited about for this year as well. We're off to a phenomenal start. We've seen some numbers through the month of March. We just got those today, and March looked like another good month. So not only are we excited about the check we're getting today, but we're also looking pretty darn good for next year. So.
Hi, everyone. I'm Erin Schwanitz-Vogt, and I'm the Vice President of Sales for the memorial side of our business.
And I'm Jason Crone. I work with our sales team, primarily on the architectural side of the business. We're going to run through real quick the orders and backlogs and kind of talk to what Josh was getting at. We're off to a great start, and we're going to talk about with the orders and backlogs how we're going to be able to continue, hopefully, that successful run moving forward, because we have some good things to share. And we'll try to go quick, because some of our people, like Johnny, rambled on for a really long time. All right, that was a cheap shot. But the guy dropped a pike in the boat earlier this week, a slimy thing, and I got hours of cleaning to do. So, all right, Erin, kick us off here.
All right, thanks, Jason. So what we're looking at here is our orders for the core of our business. And as we look across this graph, you'll see that we're off to a really great start. We're up $5.8 million this year, same period over last year. And as we look at the different product categories, we're performing quite strong. You'll see it's a little softer in the transactional side of our business, but we've really kicked it off with the cemetery construction and private estates with some really large orders early in the year. In addition to those big orders that we booked, we have a really strong pipeline of work coming our way. And Jason, maybe you want to tell us a little about the building?
Yeah, so if you look at the building numbers, they're clearly not quite where we'd want them to be from a target perspective where we were at last year. The good news is when we look at these numbers, probably around our second quarterly update of the year, if everything plays out, they're going to be looking really good. We've got a very, very strong pipeline on the architectural side of sales with some really, really good projects that should set us up here for the next couple of years. So things are going to look pretty good there. When we look at slabs, kind of cool story with our slab group. Residential market's down, and despite that, we're gaining some traction in new markets. So kudos to the slab sales group for growing in a down market for slabs. Blocks are behind now, but things are looking good. Strong Alberton market on the memorial end of things yet, and some pretty cool things on architectural sales. In some cases, when we're full with our production, but we're spec'd on jobs, we're able to keep Coldspring colors on the job by making blocks available to other fabricators. So good stuff there. Other quarry products, we've got some bids out actually on more jetty stuff, and we'll learn here in the coming weeks and months if we're going to be able to land some of those, and if so, those will be also a big kind of shot in the arm for our overall results. So good things going there. And then tooling and residential, both smaller overall revenue things, but in talking with both those groups, there's positive things happening in the residential world and with our diamond tooling. Some pretty cool new bits and things that the diamond department's coming up with. So a lot of positive things to share on the sales side. Things are looking good. As we roll into the backlog, we can see we're starting to work into our project-based backlog, and that's a great thing because honestly, in some cases, we're having to not take work we otherwise would have because of those long lead times. So we're really looking for the right balance of work type and work content to try to optimize overall our ability to produce. So while it's dropping, as we get these other orders coming in, our biggest challenge is going to be to keep that backlog down. So all good problems to have, especially with the talented production crew like we have. Our Corey systems, our production crew, we continue to demonstrate the ability to do more. So nice job there. Erin, you want to jump in transactional?
Yeah, absolutely. So similarly to the project backlog, the transactional backlog is starting to come down somewhat, but it still remains quite strong. Now, I do want to take a moment to address the bronze side of our business. A lot of you have heard that Everstory, one of our largest bronze customers, has made a change to Matthews. And I want to offer everyone some reassurance that things are still going to be just fine with that part of our business. You know, that's going to taper down over the course of the year, but the sales team has been working diligently to replace that business. We've had some really exciting wins that I'd like to share with you today. So just last week, we were awarded the VA niche contract, and our first orders are going through this week. That amounts to 22,000 bronze niche plates per year. So that's a really great win for us. In addition to that, just a few hours ago, we were given a verbal commitment for more bronze business that's going to amount to multi-million-dollar sales over the coming years, and we're working to figure out a transition and onboarding plan for that client, so we'll be happy to share more as we're able, but it's going to cross multiple markets, and it's going to help secure our future with many, many more opportunities to come. So I think today, as we look at the backlog and we think about our business, there is so much to be proud of. The sales team's bringing in some great high-margin work. We have a strong backlog now, and there's more coming our way, so there's going to be plenty of work for us in the future. So with that, I think we're going to go ahead and turn it over to Roy.
I'll just take it. All right. See a need, fill a need. See a need, fill a need. Is it really that simple? Good afternoon. I'm Roy Undersander, and I am the Director of Foundry Operations. And you know, there is value added in keeping things simple, and I'm going to talk to you about our servant leadership and well-being model that we work through and make it a little more complicated, but there is value to keeping things simple. Case in point, when I started here and went out to the foundry in the first several months, I was down the floor learning the different jobs that our great folks do down there. And Ricky Spaeth was trying to show me one morning how to start the wheelabrator. And he's showing me gauges over on the side of the wall, and he's showing me all the buttons on the panel and stuff. And you can see I have kind of a perplexed look on my face. And finally he just stops and says, "Roy, hit the first green button, count to 5, and hit the second green button." And I was good to go for the rest of the day. So there is value added in keeping things simple. But really, when we talk about servant leadership and well-being, and this model is what we use when we're teaching people the concepts that we're trying to instill here at Coldspring. And it's really, though, not that complicated. And there's really 3 points that I want you to take away today as you're leaving here. First off, you always got to have a foundation and start with a good foundation. That's what Brent Kuzman went over with you in the form of the mission, vision, and goals. Got to have that so you know where you're going. But the bottom line is we can't get there. We can't meet those goals. We can't meet that vision if we don't have engaged people helping us along the way and making us successful. And so that's really what the rest of the servant leadership model is about. It's about getting engaged people by building relationships, building energy, and building performance. And we have to do all those things at one time. So that's the first point I want you to take away. Now, in order to do that, we also have other tools to help us out. And that's where the well-being program comes into play. Now, you should have all had some training here in the last several months. We've updated the instruction, and we have put that out for training. So hopefully some of this is a review. But essentially what we did is we took our 6 elements, and the first 3 elements are really what we would call foundational. They help you improve resiliency, or how do you handle stress when life throws a curveball your way. The other three elements are really what bolsters your purpose in life and bolsters morale. Now, if you think about it, this can apply to any aspect of your life. And I guess that's point number 2 that I really want you to take away from this, is it's not just about being successful here at Coldspring. We as a team and working together want to help make people successful in their life. And that's really what it's about. So that's point number 2. Finally, the last thing is that this is a holistic program. We don't get to pick and choose when we want to apply servant leadership. We need to be consistent. We need to apply this all the time. So do me a favor, help keep people honest, and that's why we're sharing this with you. So we need to keep each other honest on that and keep working through it. And so just to give you an example of how this applies in other programs that we have in the company, is I want to talk to you about our safety program a little bit. So I definitely look at our safety program as part of our well-being program. It is, if you think about it, safety affects you, your physical and your emotional and your career well-being. Are you going to want to come to work if you're worried about the safety of the environment you work in, if you're going to go home any given day injured and so forth? So it definitely fits into that. And I want to pause here for a second and say thank you. Thank you for your engagement, and thank you for a great start to 2024. We are actually on par with, 2019 was the last time we've had this good of a start from a safety record. So far this year, and actually maybe as of today, it's 7 reportable incidents that we've had, which is still much lower than what we've had the last couple of years. And none of those, thankfully, have been lost workday incidents. So that doesn't just happen by accident, no pun intended. So it takes engagement. It takes engagement from the people. It takes each one of you out there watching out for each other and keeping each other safe. So it's been a great start to the year, and hopefully we can keep that going. Just to wrap that back into our servant leadership model, if you look at the first bullet up there, it's been proven one of the best ways to avoid more serious incidents is to talk about lessons learned and share the near mishaps that occur. But what does that require? That means somebody has to be vulnerable, somebody has to admit that maybe something didn't go right, and they have to have trust when they share that, that it's not going to be a bad experience sharing the information. So take that back to the model. How do we build trust? It's one of our values. We build that trust by building the relationships, the energy, and the performance, and then we are more freely able to talk about those things and stay engaged and have a good program. So again, thank you very much for the efforts you're making so far this year. Keep it up, stay engaged, keep talking about safety, and just keep in mind that when things get tough, when you get stressed or distracted, you want to see a need and fill a need. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Steve, and he's going to cover a few more examples. Thanks.
Thank you, Roy. My name is Steve Knopp. I work with the Quarry Group in the outlying regions, and believe me, I'm firmly aware that we're 45 minutes into this, so please, if I could just have a couple minutes of your attention, that would be wonderful. So let's talk about the $5,000 that we all learned about yesterday, learned about this morning, learned about 20 minutes ago, whenever it occurred. So my assumption is a lot of you kind of go through a range of different emotions. Hopefully the first one is maybe thankfulness or to some degree, or gratitude to some degree. And the next one is, okay, how am I going to spend that, which is probably the easiest one. And then the last one that we have is, how do we get more? And really, see a need, fill a need is an opportunity for us to get more. And I'm gonna try to talk to see a need, fill a need as it applies to what we do every single day. And it's probably a little bit difficult for some of you, but when I started 25 years ago, it was basically one person, one job. And we thought that was job security. Well, now through cross-training, we do a fantastic job within our own departments or our own functions or our own activities in see a need, fill a need. Because every single day, we're missing somebody. Somebody's on vacation, somebody took the day off, somebody's sick, somebody's gone, and everybody in this room sees a need and fills a need with one of their coworkers. The second piece is much more difficult. The second piece involves us as a company and the fact that as a project-based work or a company that deals with a lot of project-based work, we see ebbs and flows amongst all of our departments and all of our activities and all of our functions. So that part of see a need, fill a need is difficult because we're gonna ask you, or you're gonna be asked to go do something entirely out of the norm. And it could be in a different department, it could be in a different shift, it could be in a different state. And that's the difficult part about see a need, fill a need. But it's not something we haven't done in the past. So a lot of you in this room remember back 2019, 2020, we had a huge jetty job at the Sunset Red Quarry in Marble Falls. And over 100 people went to Marble Falls, and mostly people in this room, or in South Dakota, or in New York, or in California, and produced 1.3 million cube of stone to help us get that project out. So as we think about the $5,000 that we just got, and how do we get it to $6,000 next year? Think about see a need, fill a need, and how can we make that happen? So again, as you walk out, and I'm going to turn it over to Jerry Roble here to wrap up, but as you walk out, just think of how do we do that? And share those thoughts and share those ideas with your supervisors, your managers, and let's turn that $5,000 check into $6,000 next year. Jerry, thank you.
Is this working? Oh, there it's on. Thanks, Steve. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jerry Roble. For those of you who do know me, I apologize. It's like Steve said, I'm going to do the wrap-up portion here in the summary. I was assigned that because I really can't be trusted with anything important. In the past, Greg has used the analogy that you're sitting around the Easter dinner table and someone asks, hey, how are things going at Coldspring? Since Easter's passed, I'm going to use a little different analogy. Let's say you're sitting at Halfley's Bar in Richmond, and Cooley asks, how are things down at the Sheds, aka Coldspring? This is what you can tell him. 2023 was our best year ever as far as revenue, gross income, and net income. The Alexander family is going to share over $4 million of the profit with the employees. Our ROA checks are the biggest they've ever been, despite a higher than normal tax rate. As we looked at 2024, we're off to an even better start in 2024 than we were in 2023. The backlogs of our sold work and the pipeline of unsold work remains very high, so we have plenty of work in front of us to get done. There's a lot to celebrate here. In the past, Coldspring does not do a great job of celebrating. We deliver good news with a but. 2023 was great, but 2024 is off to a great start, but. So I encourage everybody here just to celebrate with no buts. 2023 was great. 2024 is starting off great. We got a lot of work in front of us, so our future looks good. No buts. We should all be very proud of what we've accomplished this year and the work in front of us. So just thank you to everybody here. I'm going to forget some of this. Devin has given me a whole shopping list of stuff to remember. So the first thing is we have cookies and coffee out in the gathering area. Please grab a gift certificate on the way out. And we're going to go out the back doors, right, Devin? Okay. And so with that, just thank you everybody for all your efforts. And I'm going to turn it over to Mike and Holly for a final word. Thank you.
Hold on. Can you come over here and hold this? That was harder than it looked. Now I'm comfortable. I know what failure looks like. Being cued to move over to the middle. Well, honestly, I thought I was going to be up here by myself, so I asked Greg Flint for a little time. So this is going to probably be uncomfortable because I wanted to air a few grievances about my wife, Holly. So I'm going to...
Well, it shouldn't take long, so go ahead.
I got
it. Well, Roy said to keep it simple, so I'm going to. I'm here to say thank you to each and every one of you. I truly believe we're here today for two reasons. One, I think God's looking over the company and taking care of us, giving us success. And we don't know what the future holds, but we're sure thankful for everything that we've had. And number two, we couldn't do this without all of you. So from the bottom of our hearts, from everyone in the Alexander family, thank you.
All right, to get started, my first complaint. I just want to say a quick thank you to Devin for all the hard work she put into this. I thought the video was fantastic and the slides were amazing. Eric back there, who keeps us on track with the IT and the technology, is pretty hard to manage all of us. And the last one is just mention to Margie, who really does manage all of us, putting this together. So we appreciate it, and again, reiterate what Holly said. Thank you all. Really appreciate it. Have a great day.